Here we go. All right. Well, happy, beautiful, amazing evening. I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski here out of Houston, Texas. And it is my great distinction and pleasure to share with you Miss Sharon Richards, who has an epic past that, you know what, I like to say that life happens for us, not to us. And she had a rough road that paved the way for her to learn and grow and share and add value to so many. In the few years that I've known her, that's exactly what I've seen. I've seen a beautiful heart, a beautiful soul, stepping up in every way possible to add value. And now we're going to talk about how to eliminate stress while overcoming trauma. So Sharon, take it away, my beautiful friend.
Thank you. And yes, I have a long history of trauma. Long, whether it's losing a child, going through domestic violence. A lot of things happened to me where I ended up, the stress of everything and the trauma of everything led me down a dark path of alcohol abuse, where I spent 5 years literally trying to unalive myself with alcohol. Turned my life around, and I'm now 19 and a half years sober. That's not where it ended. I spent the next 12 years very hyper-focused on staying sober and having 2 beautiful children that kept me sober. But I also went through domestic violence, 12 years of that. 7 years ago, I decided I was going to take charge of my life. I ended the domestic violence, but I didn't want to attract the same thing that I kept going over and over again. I needed a new path in my life. So I went down this journey of healing. And that's where it's led me to this day. I had no voice. I had no confidence in myself. And I met beautiful people along the way that I consider my mentors that have helped me, along with Dr. Bob. And here's some of the things that I have learned. They're tools that I would like to share with you that helped me, that may help you or somebody that you know. Hopefully, maybe. My first thing that I learned is how to do a gratitude journal. That was the biggest benefit for me. This is one way of doing a gratitude, or this is the benefit, sorry. It got messed up. This is a benefit of the journal that I have found. The benefits of doing 5 minutes of gratitude every day. Consistently practicing gratitude reduces feelings of stress and anxiety. In fact, that it found that acts of thoughtful gratitude produces immediate 10% increase of happiness and a 35% reduction in depressive symptoms, which alleviates within 3 to 6 months. And I can actually tell you that doing a gratitude journal, about the 6-month mark is when it starts turning around for you. This is the one method that I used that I learned from Dr. John Demartini. It was taking 3 things, and it can be written. I prefer written. It can be typed voice note or spoken out loud, but you take 3 things grateful every day, but you can't repeat it. That's the trick. You will quickly run out of people, places, and things. And about the 6-month mark is when you start learning that you'll see the switch in your life happen. You'll start seeing that the positive stuff come toward you. and you'll be able to deal with the negative stuff in your life. It's a weird sensation. But Dr. John Demartini put it as like, there's always positive and negative in our life. It never goes away. It runs side by side. Because I was in a stressful state, that's all I was attracting was a lot of negative, or at least it seemed that way. By doing a gratitude journal, you raise your positive up and your negative goes down a bit. Just makes it easier for you to handle the negative in your life. It got to the point that when you run out of people, places, and things, I started looking for what can I write in my journal at the end of the night? Who can I put it in it? What did I do? What did I see? That goes in my gratitude journal at the end of the night. Another great thing that I've always done was deep breathing. And Sachin Patel also did that at Liftoff. And the deep breathing, I do it with my daughter all the time, where you breathe through your nose and it's diaphragm. I find the deeper the breath, you breathe in as much as you can, fill up your stomach and let it all out. You do that 3 to 5 times and it just reduces. You can't think if you don't have enough breath. You can't think straight if you're breathing, if your breath is not proper. I do a lot of deep breaths throughout the day if my anxiety goes up too much. These are the benefits of deep breathing. 70% of the toxins are released from breathing properly. Reduces emotional distress, improves the blood flow, your blood, releases tension, eases the pain, your pain, and I can totally understand releases the pain because I had to do deep breathing when I broke my leg. And it elevates your mood. Nope, that one, it skipped. I also do a combination of hot showers and cold showers. And I fought Brendan Coates for cold shower. I fought him tooth and nail. I would not do a cold therapy at all. But for a cold shower, boosts immunity, relieves depression, reduces inflammation, boosts circulation. You wake up easier, and I do my cold showers in the morning. Improves muscle recovery, weight loss, better skin and hair. Increases alertness, better mood, improves cardiovascular health, and stronger confidence. And the hot, just like a warm blanket, it helps a lot too. Relaxes muscles, lower body tension, relieves migraines, reduces the swelling, anxiety. Great for nasal congestion, removes the toxins from your skin's open pore. Hello, Erica.
Oh.
And I'm missing a slide. Oh, I'm missing one slide. But anyways, my last slide was about the benefits of meditation. So with the deep breathing, I also use meditation, and I've been doing meditation since I was 9 years old, and it was self-taught. When you do your deep breathing, it reduces the stress. You can put yourself in Every time you exhale, when you do the deep breathing, you picture yourself pushing out the stress. And it manages your anxiety, self-esteem improves, relaxation, concentration increases, kindness increases, controls pain, overcomes addictions, and improves your sleep.
What am I doing?
And
What do you want?
I think that
What do you want?
I want Kirby's.
there will.
Whoop. Someone's unmuted. I'm going to see if I can find that and help. Hang on a second.
That's okay.
Let's see. Sharon, that was brilliant and amazing. And I'm reminded of a lot of things. One of the things that I've been told is in life, there's, three types of people you can learn from. Someone who's never tried something, someone who's tried and failed, and someone who's tried and succeeded. And the answer is obvious. Who do you want to listen to? You want to listen to the person that has tried and succeeded. And you've done that so beautifully in terms of staying sober, paying it forward, creating a beautiful family, beautiful life, and now taking the next step to make the wonderful world better. And if it's okay with you, well, I might just find out, first of all, does anybody have any questions? You want to type them in the chat? Any questions for Sharon, or do we want to save the questions to the end? Because I'm going to share a few things about stress and trauma and PTSD, and then a strategy we have to really help getting past all of that, maybe easier than ever. So let me just click on the chat there real quick, and lots of great accolades for you, Sharon. And someone, sorry for the interruption. Hey, you know what? It happens all the time. And
Okay,
I'll tell you what,
Mr.
I've had a few, I've done enough Zooms now where I've had mine come on mute at probably the worst time ever. So, good job getting a hold of that quickly. So my part of it, very, very simply, part of what I do as a functional medicine practitioner is take care of patients, all ends of the spectrum. But I've also taught doctors all over the world, including about post-traumatic stress and addiction and things like that, because the two, believe it or not, usually go together. And I'll show you the reference on that. But I like to start with this simple question. What if you could make a simple change in your daily habit, like coffee or tea or cocoa? And what if that could help nourish your body, mind, and spirit in a way that you could more easily overcome addiction? And I think I'm actually going to go to this story first before I show you the science behind it. So I've given a lot of talks about health and especially healthy coffee. And it turns out I was in Toronto about 7 years ago, and I was in a living room. And Karen, I think you were there on that particular night. And there was a gentleman that was, on the right side of the room. And I just like to ask, hey, does anybody have any questions before we start? And this guy said, yeah, I've struggled with alcoholism my entire adult life. What is it about this coffee that reduces my cravings? And by the way, we're going to answer that in a moment, but it's absolutely proven that our turbocharged coffee can help with addiction, can help with cravings, can help with alcohol, can help with energizing, can help even putting your body in a better state to meditate. But one of the things that I don't like sharing with people is that when someone goes through severe trauma in their life, it sets them up for a lot, and especially self-medication with either junk food or worse than that. So, there's a study years ago called the Adverse Childhood Event Study, and the vast majority of these people actually became morbidly obese, and it's because they would actually self-medicate with junk food, self-medicate with sugar, and it definitely didn't move their body in a direction that it really wanted to go, and it certainly wasn't healthier. So now there's been more than 40 years of research that actually looks at brain chemistry, and the neurotransmitter of addiction is actually dopamine. And that, by the way, whether you're talking about full-blown addiction or just cravings, and that's alcohol, that's drugs, that's carbohydrates, that's sex, that's exercise, whatever people happen to be addicted to, it's really trying to get that dopamine fix. And so this is Dr. Robert Lustig. And I think there's maybe a copyright issue where I couldn't really play a lot of it. I wanted to kind of jump forward to where he starts talking about this reward center of the brain. And he says, you know what, when your brain is normally working functionally, you have something called the nucleus accumbens that gets dopamine signal, and it helps people to feel, you know, a high of sort, whether it's a sugar's high, a runner's high, or a drug high. And then what happens, what they're showing there is if you constantly stimulate that center, then the receptors for dopamine actually go away. And what that means is you actually need more of whatever you were doing to get that dopamine to get the same response. So first it was one drink, now you need two, then you need three, then you need five, then you need 10, and then suddenly even 15 wouldn't do for you with what one did. And you're physically and psychologically addicted at that point in time. And by the way, they've actually found out that that is absolutely true of sugar as well. So this was a really profound thing. 94% of rats prefer processed sugar to cocaine, and cocaine's considered the most addictive. Well, as part of my education, I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I feel blessed that that wasn't my addiction. And if I were to become straightforward, most people have been addicted to something. As a teen, I was probably addicted to sugar, addicted to exercise, and you know, you can do these things to the point where they're certainly not healthy. And I probably did in both of those cases. But I always found it amazing that the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings I went to, they had sugar on the back table. They were actually giving the people the dopamine fix in a less harmful way. But ultimately, we'd want that craving to go away as well. So over 8,300 published medical studies on dopamine and addiction. And our coffee and our tea and even our hot chocolate is infused with something called Ganoderma lucidum. And it helps not only dopamine, but it helps serotonin for happy, GABA for calm, acetylcholine for memory. And across the board, it's really, really healthy for the brain as well. When you look at alcohol addiction and dopamine, nearly 2,500 studies on that topic. Now, this researcher, Daniel Amen, his TED Talk was entitled, What I Learned After 83,000 Brain Scans. And very simply, what he learned is that we can change people's brains. The brains can actually rewire, and they're now calling this new science neuroplasticity. Now, the reason I mention this is you can rewire your brain to get away from addiction. You can rewire your brain from depressed to happy. You can rewire your brain from obsessive compulsive to a lot more relaxed. But Daniel Amen, I think at this point, he's written about 40 books. In his book, The End of Mental Illness, he asked the question, what if mental health and brain health were one and the same? And he's come to the conclusion that they are. Now, 3 different brain scans, one of Alzheimer's, you can see that that brain is pretty destroyed. Excess body weight also accelerates brain degeneration. And then we have a healthy brain. And PTSD, they have absolutely shown that that legitimately is a trauma to the brain. Make no mistake about it. You can witness event, experience event, however that happens, your brain will change. And we certainly want to break that pattern. And one thing that my mentors taught me, believe it or not, as much as 30 years ago, they said, look, don't watch news. It's not news, it's bad news. And there's a philosophy, if it bleeds, it leads. So, you know, if people were actually at the Boston Marathon, and I have friends that were at the marathon during that bombing, or if they actually watched 6 hours of news coverage, my question is, who do you think had more post-traumatic stress from that? And the answer is those that spent the time watching 6 hours or more on the TV, because they kept playing the bad over and over and over and over again. So there's always this concept of nature versus nurture. How much of addiction risk is genetic? And the answer is not much. So I'm going to use the cancer as an example. It's a disease of the genes, but it's not inherited. And it's generally accepted that the cancer risk is 5 to 10% genetic, 90 to 95% what we choose to do with those genes. And plenty of people of wisdom have said the same thing. So when we start looking at addiction, it was very, very fascinating that they've done studies on rats. and they would actually put them in a cage, and they would give them an option. Hey, listen, you can have cocaine, or you can have heroin, or you can have just regular water. And if they put them in a cage all by themselves, they would literally take the addictive substance until they died. But if they gave them a normal or even a nurturing environment, they almost called it like a rat utopia, then guess what? None of the animals became addicted. None of them died. And so this is a pretty interesting study that shows that even if drugs and things like that are available, if you're in a good environment with people around you that love and support you, or in that case, rats that love and support you, then you're much less likely to turn to addictive behaviors. So this was fascinating. When the Vietnam War ended, however many soldiers came back, they actually estimate that 20% of those returning soldiers were heroin addicts. And they thought, how in the world are we ever going to help these people to beat that addiction? But when they got home, and when they were around their family, and when they were in loving communities, the results were pretty simple. 95% of the people instantly were able to give up their addiction. So that's what I want to share with you. And that's, by the way, is why groups like AA are so powerful, or whichever version we're dealing with of that, because when you're in a supportive environment, you have a lot greater probability of success. And one of my great mentors, Zig Ziglar, he passed a few years ago, but he would say, you know what, I believe that everybody wants to be happy, healthy, reasonably prosperous. And then he would say, by the way, for those of you who want to be unreasonably prosperous, we have a course for you as well. They want peace of mind, they want friendships, they want good family relationships, and they want security. And if we can get people these things, there probably is not much reason at all ever to turn to addiction. But, they often call this the Alcoholics Anonymous prayer. It's the Serenity Prayer. And I will share with you what I like as the more updated version of this. But let's start with the original. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And the update that I like on that is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one that I can, and the wisdom to know it's me. And so, Sharon, big shout out to you for doing that, for finding your why, for getting past those really rough times, and creating a beautiful life, and now paying it forward. So, the company Organo, by the way, they also have a brain training software called NeuroTracker, 6 minutes, 3 times a week, and it accelerates the rewiring of the addicted brain. And that is proven in published medical studies. So very, very simply, Sharon gave us phenomenal tips, and I'm trying to figure out how to scroll back to where we started there. Hang on. You gave us great tips on gratitude, journaling, which, by the way, is absolutely proven to improve every aspect of life. Meditation, hot and cold contrast therapies, any of these things that improve our bodies spill over into all areas of our life. And I have to tell you, I'm beyond impressed. You actually started meditating at age 9?
I self-taught myself. Somebody came into the school, and they got us to lay down on mats in the gym, and they talked us through breathing. And it was really weird because you laid down, and I do this at night. I do this at night because it helps me actually go to sleep, where I'll lay down and close your eyes, and if you deep breathe in, do that about 3 times, and then you start the process. You start from your head, you relax your head, you let it get heavy, and you relax your jaw, you relax your neck, you just allow yourself to sink, and you go to your shoulders, your arms. Every time you deep breath in, and you exhale, you go to the next body part, all the way down to your feet. And every time you exhale, you are releasing the stress from that area and letting it go. And by the time you get down to your feet, you're pretty much like unconscious. I remember the first time I did that, I actually, in bed, you will actually feel yourself, you'll feel yourself sink into you'll get heavier and sink into, it's a weird feeling. It's like that pillow of the cloud pillow and on cartoons, and you watch them sink into the cloud. That's what you get.
You know, I'm beyond amazed.
It's a weird feeling, and I do that all the time.
Well, Sharon, I'm a few months away from 59, not 59, and I haven't even come close to, denting meditation. I try. And I tell people I'm a terrible meditator, and they say, just come back to it. So you, 5 decades ahead of me on that one. So very well done, my friend.
And I'm 51. So.
Well, beautiful
Yeah.
you created for you. Now let's see if anybody has any kind of questions at all. Let's look at the chat. Let's see.
Dr. Bob?
Yes.
Karen. Yeah. So when you were in Toronto, and I just wanted to give an update on, that was my friend that was, that started taking reishi, who was the alcoholic.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that was a good friend of mine. Well, still is a good friend of mine. And just an FYI, he's still drinking the products and still off alcohol. So yeah, I mean, he's dealing, yeah. So anyway, it really helped with his symptoms and calming down his nervous system. So I just wanted to bring that in.
I'm so glad. Well, I'll think about that, right? That was probably 7 years ago. So think about every single sip of his organo coffee nourished his body, mind, and spirit. And, even at that point, it was early on in his efforts that he realized, wow, this is better for my cravings as well. So
I can,
very, very powerful.
I can tell you that with drinking the coffee for the last 2.5 years, and with what we've gone through, I wouldn't want to see myself off of this product. I know what my anxiety and depression was like post drinking this coffee. And I, to be honest, I can tell that I'm more level, if that makes any sense.
Well, it absolutely does. And so my next question, Sharon, if someone wanted to get some of this coffee, how would they reach out to you? What's the best way to get you?
Either through my link in my bio, on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. I'm on all of them, mostly TikTok.
Well, I've got to tell you, I saw people type in the comments that they were proud of you. I am super proud of you. And
Thank you.
When we talked the other day, you're exactly on the schedule that you created, right? You wanted 2 years to really, get everything in line and ready to share. And you've been building your audience and building your influence and just sharing so many great things. So if you're connected to Sharon, go back to her. There's some people that may watch this in our Facebook group or some other type of replay. And whoever referred you to that replay, I would encourage you to reach out to them. We're a team. We've got a global effort in over 40 countries where we can get these better products to everyone. Someone just typed in mocha makes me happy.
Yeah,
boy, that's
Nikki. She's one of mine.
Very, very
she
true.
loves mocha.
So let's look. Anything else? Yep, Nikki says she loves organo. Way to go, Sharon. Absolutely. Beautiful smiles for all. Have a fabulous night. Great information. Mocha makes me happy. And I think that's going to wrap it up. Sharon, any words of wisdom as we wrap up tonight?
Enjoy your journey.
I love those words.
I enjoy the journey, because if you don't, I remember going forward so quickly and had the blinders on, and I ended up with an accident over just a year and a half ago. And I spent the last year trying to figure out where I fit in and what I was supposed to do. And it wasn't until last week that I realized that I needed to stop. I needed to pay attention to everything around me and enjoy the journey. I forgot to enjoy the journey. The stopping and smelling of the roses, do that. Enjoy the journey, what you're on.
Well, Sharon, I'm looking at everything in your background and it all looks so positive, so
you.
wonderful.
Mhm.
And I'll just end with these words, life happens for us, not to us. And I'll give a quote from Mother Teresa. She said, listen, I know God won't give me any more than I can handle. I just wish he didn't have so much confidence in me. And so he obviously has a lot of confidence in you because you've had a little bit of a challenging road, but it's prepared you so beautifully to make our wonderful world better. So I'm super proud of you. I love you. So many great comments coming in the chat.
Thank you.
And way to step up, way to really make our wonderful world better. So with that, I will say good night all and God bless.
night.
Reach back to whoever referred you to this or the replay, and let's get you some of these magic treasures that can make not just addiction better, but probably every aspect of your life. So
Yes.
good night all and God
Thank
bless.
you.
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Bob. Thank you, Sharon.